4, 5, me tacar no carro, bicho. 1, 2, 3, vou sarrando na PT. 4, 5, me tacar no carro, bicho. 1, 2, 3, vou sarrando na PT. 4, 5.
Welcome, happy Super Bowl Sunday, Birds on the Wire fans. It is Ursula and Fletcher back live to you, excited about this game. So we decided to do a pre-game show, and we will also do a post-game show. So please join us on the wire and be one of our flocked and feathered friends and talk about a bunch of things, not just the game, of course, the big game, which for copyright trademark reasons, for a lot of people, they do say the big game. If you were wondering about that, that's the reason, because the Super Bowl has actually trademarked its name, Super Bowl, but we can say it. I mean, fair use here. So Super Bowl Sunday, we are also talk about news. We'll talk about any cultural things, Catholic items of interest, and all the things that you've come to know and love us for here at Indignant Desert Birds. Including, I hope to get some memes up today. If we don't do them today, I mean, in this session, which is before the game, maybe we can do it in the post-game show. So as you know, we'll start out talking a little bit about the game. Now, here at Indignant Desert Birds, we are interested in everything that has to do with what you can see in the world that makes a difference to the kingdom of God. So that is sports, that's art, that's politics. You know, our Birds on the Wire show is focused on politics, but we also do other items in terms of cultural history, religious news, and art and culture, and including sports, that anything that God is over, we're interested in. And he's obviously over everything. So today, the Super Bowl would be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you all know who's playing, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So listen, I am not even going to play here. I'm just going to be honest, Fletcher. I'm for the Eagles. Go Eagles! All right, sorry.
So you're going to say fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory?
Fly, Eagles,
no,
fly.
I wasn't asking if it.
On the road to victory. Fight, right. fight. Okay, fine. Don't get me started then. If you don't want the song to play, then don't put money in the jukebox.
All right, so these are according to 59 facts to know when watching the Super Bowl, and as you guys might have guessed, it's in New Orleans. Woo-hoo-hoo.
And it's the 59th Super Bowl. It's the 59th one. Did you know that?
It's the 59th Super Bowl,
so
but also
in the Roman numerals is LIX.
Yes, if you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Sir Clifton is like, "Go Chiefs, Missouri boy here." All right, we're with the. Okay, I won't be mad. Because you know what? Go up, Sir Clifton. You know what? Go Chiefs, Missouri boy here. First of all, just came back from Missouri. That's awesome. So listen, here's the thing. If the Chiefs win, I will not be mad. I'll be happy because this will be a three-peat for them. Everyone knows that. That it would be historic. It would be extremely exciting. You can't be mad at a team that played as well as they did this year and have for the last several years, especially the last 3 years. Then
and we all know that they have several prominent Christians, including Patrick Mahomes, who's a very devout Christian. So and several others in the team.
Number 15, yes. And Mahomes is already thought of as one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. He's generally considered the best player currently playing in the NFL. He's been a starter in Kansas City for 7 seasons. It's his 5th trip to the Super Bowl. He's a cool guy. He's won 3 out of his first 4, including each of the last 2 years. He's widely regarded as the NFL's most creative quarterback. He can change arm angles, make throws others cannot make. The Chiefs, just are really lucky to have blessed to have him. It's impossible almost to defend against him. But don't put down the Eagles. The quarterback of the Eagles is Jalen Hurts. He's number 1. He is a dual threat quarterback. He makes as many plays with his legs as he does with his arm, is why they say that. And he's been Philly's starter for 4 seasons. It's his 2nd Super Bowl appearance. Not many people make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's kind of even some really respectable teams don't make it. It's like a big deal, you all. Anyway,
but
Jalen is a strong deep ball thrower. He's he's a preeminent purveyor of the so-called
Uh-oh.
tush push.
In the chat, we already
Go Eagles, Lady Jen. I'm joining you. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
Oh, no,
fly, fight, Eagles, fight.
Oh no. Although I do have a variation of that song, because in my variation is hit him low and punch him in the eye. It's my it's my variation. It's funny because when you see this picture, you always think, is that snow? And yeah, when they took that picture, New Orleans was under a few feet of snow because it was a little bit of freak winter in my old hometown of New Orleans.
New Orleans is a wonderful place to have this game. I mean, what a wonderful city. It's the most Catholic city of the United States. There is no city more Catholic than that. It was under the French. It was under the Spanish. You have a great majority of people who are Catholic Christians and actually go to church. You know, Fletcher, you and I have been there before, and we were astonished at, so many churches around the whole United States are empty. Not all of them. We're a pretty good church-going populace here in the United States. It's not like when you go to France or things like that, where there's really empty places. But even though we have a lot of full churches, when you go to New Orleans, you're going to be astonished. I mean, a lot of people love the Lord. I mean, they do. They go to church. They are celebrating, their relationship with God. It's all in the air. I'm not saying there's no sinners and saints, but there's a lot of respect, I think, for religion. It's really awesome to have it. Of course, the New Orleans team is called the Saints, and that is because of their, I think, religious heritage.
Yeah, and if you ever go to New Orleans, you do have to go to the square, and you got to see St. Louis Cathedral because it's so beautiful, and it's right there in the square. It's for any faith. I think it's
beautiful.
I think it's really nice to go
see. It's an old city. It's it's a city, honestly, that feels almost as though you are in a different country when you're there. It is fully United States of America, but it has so much flavor of like an old world city. It has a flavor of old Spanish architecture, old French architecture, maybe even some old English feel to it. It's just it's very European, but it is also very strongly American. So, Fletcher, you were going to tell us some facts about this 59th game?
Yeah, so, with it kicking off, at 6:30, this year's game will take place at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, which I think that's a new name, right? I forgot what it used to be, but the Superdome just fixed up after Katrina. It took a little bit of a hit. But it is the home of the Saints. It's going to feature, for those who are not interested in the round cylindrical hit ball. It's got
okay. Let's just stop Fletcher there for a second. He doesn't want to call it football. Do you know why? Because he is from one of these commie countries that calls football the American football, and they call soccer football. So he's calling it. Oh, that means the beautiful game. That's what they call it in many of these, third world countries. So we're going to call it, they call it the beautiful game. That was Portuguese, right, Fletcher?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Well, we're going to call it football. You don't have to call it the cylindrical game ball, as you want to call it. Okay. Carry on.
So it's going to be the previous defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs, which is amazing. They're looking, I believe, to make this a three-peat. And your Philadelphia Eagles. Do not sing.
I'm not going to sing, but I might sing. I don't know. Maybe later.
So it's going to be broadcast in Fox and Spanish on Fox Deportes and Telemundo. But it's also going to be, if you guys are looking where to watch, Tubi is going to have it.
For free, you all. Free.
But that's the thing, yes. Don't sign up for anything. Tubi is free. The game's going to be on there for free. If you guys were thinking, where am I going to watch it on Tubi. It's going to be there. So, according to this, the NFL champion Philadelphia Eagles will be appearing in their 5th Super Bowl. Overall, the team has 1-3 record in the big game. The Eagles' last appearance is Super Bowl 2 years ago, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, 30-35.
Oh, so this is a revenge match.
Questionable calls, according to some Eagles fans. And And it's funny because I know Clifton knows this, that the Chiefs have gotten a real uh, uh, almost like a, how do we say this, a reputation, right? They got like a rep right now because some people are saying that the referees are a little bit wearing red shirts, but I'm not gonna.
I'm
I'm not
sorry,
gonna say.
teams. I mean, I'm for the Eagles, but come on. I mean, maybe. I guess you never know. You never know.
Yeah. So we got the boss man in the house says both are lame. Hey.
No, they're not lame, Mr. Latino Slant. Senor Latino Slant. They're kind of cool, especially the Eagles. No. Both are pretty cool, and that's good for
So
Romy.
Clifton's gonna be sleeping because if I believe right, Clifton, you're in Germany, all right? I think you're. And this is your fellow Deutsch, speaker of High Deutsch, because sprechen Sie Deutsch, Mr. Clifton. Yes, Ursula is a thespian of the Deutsch.
Latino Slant says that Romy is rooting for Philly. Good. See how we do that. See,
East Coast,
follow your smarter half, Mr. Latino Slant. Okay, rooting for Philly. Although again, Kansas City Chiefs are great. No, they've had a great season. In fact, what I understand is between these two teams, they've had more wins than almost anyone in the history of football, like together. Like they have done really well. This is not one of those they just barely made the finish line kind of situation. They have been dominant. I want to say Philly won like 34 games this season. I think the Chiefs only lost like 2 games the whole season. And I think the Eagles maybe lost like 3, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a steady. It's almost like they wanted, this is going to be us at the end, no matter what. And I'm not going to say that that's what the National Football League also thought, because this is like it's almost like a Rocky thing. There's a lot of Philadelphia fans wanted it to be the Rocky comeback. We'll see.
Okay, I wish I knew the song because I would definitely sing that one. Okay, anyone tuning in, this is not how we normally do. Please do not turn away. Please come back.
Yeah,
we're just a little excited. Fletcher, you're not going to tell us facts. I'm going to tell us facts. So let's talk about some of the people on the Chiefs. Okay, we'll come back to you. So Travis, I don't know how you say his last name, Kels. No, we want to keep your thing, Fletcher. No, just go down and pick out what you want to say. But I want to say a few things.
I can go back now.
Travis, please go through your facts. But he's apparently Taylor Swift's boyfriend. I think people who are non-football watchers know him probably more that way than anywhere else. He is, considered, he's getting up in age at 35 years old. It's his 7th consecutive season with at least 90 catches and his 10th straight making the Pro Bowl. He always does well in the playoffs, and that should be interesting. We have wide receiver Xavier Worthy, Hollywood
and
Brown,
for those who
DeAndre
don't
Hopkins.
know, he is also Mr. Taylor Swift, right?
He is Mr. Taylor Swift. Oh, gosh. I mean, I'm sorry. I do not see this connection at all. I have never seen them together. I mean, I've seen them together, physically together, but because of photographs, but I don't see them together, if you know what I mean. Like they don't look like they match each other. I don't see this connection. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. They don't appear to me to be very compatible. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know if it's some kind of publicity stunt, but I don't know. I guess we'll see if she's there today. Anyway, so Xavier Worthy is a rookie. Okay, he is a rookie, but people are saying already he may be the fastest man in NFL history. Believe it or not, he has set a combine record with his 40-yard dash time. So you can expect that Kansas City will use him today. You would think probably on short passes and crossing routes that get the ball on the move. Hollywood's been injured. That's Hollywood Brown. I love that name, by the way. Hollywood Brown. I think that's strong. If you're gonna name your kid Hollywood, he better be somebody, huh?
You better if you're gonna name somebody Hollywood,
you better come ready.
You better come correct.
You better come correct. Now, Hopkins was acquired via trade midseason, and he is kind of a catch specialist. So we'll see what happens. He could be a help in the red zone. Still on the Kansas City side, we have Chris Jones, number 95, edge rusher George Karlaftis. I might be saying his name wrong. I think that sounds like a Greek name. Anyway, Chris Jones is considered a top interior pass rusher, getting pressure on the opposing quarterback way more often than usual for a player in his position. We have Karlaftis. Somebody tell me if I'm saying his name wrong. It does sound Greek to me. He's Kansas City's best edge rusher. He tends to win more with power than speed, though, and that may not be as effective as usual against Philly's massive offensive tackles. We have offensive lineman Joe Thuney. Hope I'm saying his name right, too. Mike Caliendo, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor. You got to pay attention to these guys. Thuney, for example, is an all-pro guard who had to move outside to tackle because of Kansas City struggles protecting Mahomes' blind side. Caliendo moved into the lineup at guard to take Thuney's place inside, and Taylor is considered a liability due to his penchant for taking penalties. So we'll see what happens there. We have cornerbacks Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. There's somebody to watch. Linebackers Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Leo Chenno, Justin Reed, and Brian Cook. They both have very tough assignments this Super Bowl. They will probably be responsible for making sure that star Eagles running back Saquon Barkley doesn't break into the open field and rip off big plays. And just for the record, Saquon Barkley's 28th birthday is today. It's his birthday. He's playing on his birthday. Saquon Barkley is a former number 2 pick for the New York Giants. Of the New York Giants, he signed with Philly last offseason and had the best season of any running back in recent memory, rushing for over 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. He's a finalist for the league MVP award and likely offensive player of the year winner. He has the speed, he has power, change of direction ability. I think, he's gonna show off today. It's his birthday. Today is his birthday, February 9th. It's also the birthday of someone else I know. So anyway, they do hand him the ball more than anyone other. On the Eagles side as well, we have wide receivers A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They're very different players, as you know. They have different builds and playing styles. Brown is more about kind of speed and power. Smith is more kind of slippery and agile. But they are both very strong, and they are often targets. We have defensive linemen Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Josh Sweat. Philly has one of the league's best defensive lines. Okay, so if the Eagles are going to slow down Kansas City's offense, they will have to play a big role. This linebacker Zach Bond, he's a former edge rusher and special teams player. He's been moved to middle linebacker. And then we have cornerbacks Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I wonder if any of these guys are from New Orleans. Anyway, they're both rookies, but they have been 2 of the best defensive backs in the NFL. We have finally offensive linemen Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and Lane Johnson. They're considered the best offensive line in all of football. You can guarantee this is not going to be an easy game. Okay, this is going to be fun. I think it's going to go down to the wire. I don't know. I'm not taking bets. It's Sunday, and we're not betting people, but I think we have a good game, and that's really fun. I think that's fun for fans. I know it'll have people on the edge of their seats. Sometimes you might like it better if it's going to be a clean sweep, but I don't think that's going to happen today. But that means it's going to be, I think, very rich to watch. What do you think, Fletcher?
I think it's like I said, it does feel kind of like a bit of a Rocky thing. Philadelphia also, home Rocky. But so if they can pull it off, it is going to be that Cinderella type story.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if the Eagles win, it's going to be sweet revenge since the Chiefs beat us in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And of course, if the Chiefs win, you can't do better than a three-peat. A three-peat is awesome. It'd be the first team ever to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. I don't think it's ever been done. So, I mean, it's going to be, I really look forward to seeing how the coaches will handle this too. I mean, the head coach for the Chiefs is Andy Reid. He's considered the best offensive coach of his generation, believe it or not. He's one of the best coaches in NFL history. He's been in Kansas City since 2013. He really, when the Chiefs have been one of the best NFL teams. I mean, it's because of his consistency. He's considered very consistent. And what's interesting, before coaching the Chiefs, guess who he coached, Fletcher?
Oh, who did he coach? Who did he coach, Ursula?
Reed coached the Eagles from 1999 through 2012. So I'm sorry, you guys. I mean, I guess it could go either way. On the one hand, Reed might know something about the Eagles, having coached them. But the Eagles also might know something about Coach Andy Reid, having been trained by them.
Right.
So we'll see. The head coach of the Eagles is Nick Sirianni. He's considered like a lightning rod. I mean, he's just really kind of out there. He was almost going to be fired last offseason. Somehow he kept the job. And now, look, amazingly, he's leading his team back to the Super Bowl for the second time. So I like people like that. I like people who are a little bit, he kind of mixes it up with fans, I guess. He gets into it, including of opposing teams and his own fans. So he's a bit much. Let's see what he's going to have to lose it today. Today's a big deal. He's going to lose it. Any time to lose it will be today.
And Brother Clifton says, what an awesome breakdown.
Oh, thank you, Sir Clifton.
Oh, and we got Viceroy Shelby with us today.
Woohoo! Viceroy Shelby is back. Woohoo! Love it. Yeah.
And so it looks like this is the spread according to DraftKings, which is, I think it's not. I mean, most spreads are like this. I think you usually find DraftKings, of course, is it's a different type of site. It's not like Vegas odds. I believe because they have their own app. So it's a weird because it's a sports book that's in the Interflex. You know, it's one of these after Vegas kind of fought hard against this. They couldn't stop it. And it's funny too. I think I could be wrong. If anybody in the chat knows this, I believe this betting app is owned by Disney. So now they have,
really?
I could be mistaken. I know they bought a really big betting app, and I think it's this one. So these are the odds according to this DraftKings today for today's game. They got the Eagles plus 1.5 on the spread. And they have Kansas City Chiefs at minus 1.5. And it's one of those things. Yeah. So they're still favored. If we go down to Vegas odds, it looks like the odds in Vegas are still, the Chiefs are slightly favorites versus Eagles still. And that's, that
makes sense.
It does make sense in all kinds of things. And this was just, I believe, a few hours ago. So it does look like those are the odds. If you guys are placing the bets,
I bet there's some bets being placed right now.
I guarantee there's some places. I don't think that's the bets, because now bets are a little bit more interactive when you had to, go down to the corner and talk to your cousin. There's all kinds of pools and all kinds of metrics.
Yeah, that's right, because you can do online betting, and I guess it depends on your state, though, right?
Right. It depends on what you are and what's your what's your take on it. But it does look like those are going to be the stats, shall we say, so far. It's it's very interesting that that they still basically, what everybody kind of feels, right?
I think it's good. Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, I think these teams are very closely matched. I honestly believe that a factor in this game will be where they're playing. I think the Caesar Superdome, I always believe that where the team plays is kind of another factor. And the Super Bowl is a different kind of arena. It's the 8th time the Superdome will host a big game. It's the 11th time the city of New Orleans. I don't know where New Orleans people think what kind of people will come, what kind of energy there'll be from the fans there.
Well,
What
they
the
already
refs will
have a
be like.
huge. I mean, there's two things that I heard from that one. That supposedly it's gonna bring in the city's already feeling it because do you know what the average hotel rate right now is in New Orleans?
No.
Right now, the average hotel rate in New Orleans is $650 a night.
What? So a lot of people went down there.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, and that's just what they're telling
Wow.
you.
That's the average?
That's like the average, and
That
that's
means there's
probably
some that
like
are
the
more.
legal. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Because there's probably going to be price gouging, you know, and there's going to be all kinds of. That's probably this is the how can we say it? This is the real number in like when you see it online, probably the real number is probably different because I guarantee you a lot of people like scalp rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
even like you can scalp anything now in this day and age. Resellers are making a killing because I guarantee you that room is probably over 1,000 or 2,000 because somebody booked it through their agency and now they're I mean there's all kinds of stuff. It's
But how, you know what? First of all, how exciting though for people who get to travel to the Super Bowl, to the big game.
yeah,
I think that's a really fun thing to do. Maybe one day we could get to do something like that. But also, how exciting for New Orleans. New Orleans, as you alluded to before with Katrina, we just said Katrina, but of course, for those who don't know, I think everyone would probably know. But Hurricane Katrina, which is almost over
right.
20 years ago now, hard to believe that, devastated that city. A lot of people lost their lives. They lost their properties. They lost a lot. And so they're still coming back from that. And just recently, poor New Orleans also suffered a terrorist attack. And
Yeah,
so the idea that they might get an economic boost from this, I think is great. I love that they're expecting so many visitors and that, they're going to get, it says here they're expecting about 500 million and they can use it. It's a city that's gone through a lot. So I'm kind of happy about that. Now we should talk about the halftime show, Fletcher.
yes.
So I don't know what you think. I mean, the halftime
I'm not
shows
watching it.
and the commercials during the Super Bowl always get a lot of attention. So maybe after the game, when we do our post game tonight, we can talk more about that. You can't not watch it, Fletcher. We're going to be talking about it tonight. So, well, I guess I can do it. But it's hip hop artist Kendrick Lamar. My brother is a fan. I'm not saying I'm not a fan. It just doesn't do it for me. But he is performing. I think, I don't know if you know any of his songs, Fletcher. I don't know, you can sing
Yeah, I
some
know
of
his
it.
songs.
But he's joining with a person I definitely am not fond of. I cannot even pronounce her name. It's SZA. I mean, she's a very cute girl, but I just don't see the appeal. I mean, come on. I'm from the day, where it's like, singers actually had some kind of message or a point. Now, I think Kendrick Lamar might have one. So Sir Clifton's asking who's the halftime show. Is Kendrick Lamar, who is, I think of him as an R&B artist, but some say he's a hip hop artist. I don't really know, but he is, going to be performing, and then he's going to have
Yeah.
a visitor, SZA. You can't even say her name. It's SZA. But
Yeah.
I don't care for her because I don't even know her, but I saw her a couple years ago in like some video, and I just thought it was a little bit overly sensual and not very meaningful. Like I'm from like the girl bands, like, Destiny's Child. That's my day. At least they had a point, but I didn't feel she had one. So I didn't really care too much for it. So
Yeah. And
no offense.
he's got his stuff. I mean, if you guys remember, the reason I'm not watching his broadcast is because he did dress up like Jesus promoting baby deletion
What?
back in the day.
I never
And
knew
basically has already been,
that. What?
he has people have claimed that a lot of his songs were done by other folks, and a lot of people say, well, he did win some of those cases. A lot of people also say, hey, it's because he just buried the other side with cash. So there's a little bit of the controversy on that one. So that's why I'm just gonna be like, yeah, no Kendrick for me. But yeah, I guess it's ZZA.
I didn't know that about him. I didn't know that about
Yes,
him, Fletcher.
yeah,
Honestly, I'm very disappointed to hear that. I thought he was a good guy. I mean, doesn't he do the song for that Marvel movie, Wakanda? Was that his? All the Stars?
yeah.
Isn't that his
Yeah,
song?
I
I
believe
will
that's his
say
song.
that is a lovely song. If you guys have ever seen the Marvel movie Black Panther, at the end of the movie, there's a song, something about stars. I don't know if we can play a little bit of it, Fletcher. We might get copyright strike.
Yeah,
We better not. Yeah, we can't take a chance. This
sorry.
platform is like super trigger finger about that. Even though technically you're supposed to be able to play a few seconds of a song without having a copyright because it's called fair use, but whatever. But if you do want to look that up, I think it's called Something About Stars, and it's quite lovely. It's a lovely song, and that's why I thought of him more as an R&B singer than a rapper. But to know that he mocked our Lord and promoted deletion of unborn, no, not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, I was looking because I think supposedly there's going to be a Latino halftime show also, which is
really
funny.
What the heck is that?
I couldn't find it. Maybe we'll talk about it after on the after show. Because it looks like there's going to be a Spanish, because there's a lot more Latinos trying to get into, well, they're trying to push it to other countries, the NFL.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so there's a lot of push to have people watch it and stuff like that. So there is
I mean, to be honest,
on advertising, I think it's Archangel's gonna be the one for the
really so the Latino halftime show. You guys are too much.
Which is funny because he got a lot of heat.
Too much.
If I understand it correctly, he's the one that got a lot of heat for supporting Trump. Like back in the days, was he's one of the reggaeton artists.
What's the name? Who we're talking about? What's the name?
It's Archangel is his handle.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, hopefully the true archangels don't mind too much.
Yeah. Well, we know they mind, Kendrick Lamar's blasphemous, but
yeah, that's pretty bad.
So yeah, it's not just us. A ton of people are calling to Colin when you're just screaming so-called women's rights. We know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, he does need to repent.
Yeah, but there's another take on this whole thing with people, because it did seem like there's a different audience now. Like I said, they're trying to bring in the Latino audience, so they're doing some stuff. Yeah, because Fox Deportes is also going to be doing like a big thing.
Tell people what Deportes means.
I'm sorry. So Fox Sports, but in Spanish is Fox Deportes. Very original, guys, by the way. I love it when they do the whole, like, we're going to just translate the whole world, and that's going to be the thing. And it's like, oh, that's cool. That's very original. And there's a lot more celebrities there's always been celebrities that come. But we did hear that the Taylor effect, since we already said that she's dating a chief, it brought a record high 47.5 to the Super Bowl TV audience, the female audience on this. So Nielsen did report that last year's Super Bowl was set a record for the amount of women who watched, so that they calling it the Taylor Swift effect. When she would come to the games and all that stuff. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, there's this thing. Yeah.
I wonder if is that the play then? Is that why these people are dating?
Yeah.
So we can increase the female audience? because I don't see those two together. And I didn't realize more women watch when she shows up. What?
Well, yeah, that's what they're calling it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding. All right, let's talk some more about this. I'm getting really into this, okay? Well, what do you think?
Oh, that's so Clifton says that I think last time they had what was it?
Katy Perry?
Katy Perry.
Was it Katy Perry? You know what he says? He doesn't really, he thought she did a good show, but don't really care for her music much. You know, that's a good take on her. I think that's what I would say too. She does a good show, but I don't care for her music much either. I think it's very commercialized and put together. She does tend to have a kind of message sometimes. I think she has that Eye of the Tiger song. Isn't that hers?
Yeah, we should take the stuff. Yeah. So
and she is a great performer.
She is a very good performer. Yeah.
You know what? Katy Perry is one of the most wealthy. People don't realize this. She's one of the most wealthy performers out there, and not because of her selling records. It's because of her touring. She makes so much money from her concerts. She's a beast at touring. She does put together a good show. It's highly entertaining. She has, all these costume changes. Things are working on a dime. She has, great acoustics. She knows what she's doing. And those tours, they bring in the dough. Like, people can only hope to get what she does all the time. She has it down to a science.
Yeah, and Leticia says maybe the Latino national anthem "Sabor a Mi" is going to be playing at the.
Is that a real thing? Is there a Latino national anthem?
I don't think they're going to have that. They usually they are so low. There's not that I know of.
There might be. Sabor a Mi. It sounds good to me. Like, we can make up. We want you to start singing one. Make it up.
Make up one. Singing one, and
now, the Super Bowl halftime shows have always been a big deal. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. Back in 2004, there was the so-called wardrobe malfunction. Remember, with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake? That was a low moment. I think people were very offended by that. There was even a documentary about it.
Yeah.
I never saw it, though.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I mean, it's a. No, you didn't see it. What did they say? What happened?
Oh, yeah. It was. I remember that it was such a big deal because there was a lot of. First, there was a lot of heat on Janet. Then there was a lot of heat on Timberlake, right?
Oh, so who was responsible?
So supposedly it's a wardrobe malfunction. It's funny because
what the heck is a wardrobe malfunction?
Go to so what happened is that she was supposed to have like part of her costume tore apart where he grabbed her like boob, right?
Yikes.
And it was a wardrobe malfunction because when he kind of like pulled it showed so if you can show it. So basically when they were together and she was there, see, she has like this something like a tear off. So she had like a bustier or something like that. And then she was supposed to have like a detachable thing, and it was supposed to reveal the inner part of her costume, right? And then when he went to grab it and stuff like that, it accidentally revealed more of the costume. I guess more of it peeled off
than what's supposed to.
And there was like a big there was a big thing about that because they're like, okay, well,
my understanding is
that they do it on purpose to get views and stuff.
My understanding is that the team or the NFL could have been fined because there are decency acts, and there is like a federal agency that deals with what goes on the air that keeps things, kind of not terribly debased, although we are pretty close to being pretty debased anyway, what gets on television. But nudity is really not on our TV. And now in other countries, they do show nudity.
Yeah,
I was in Germany, as
Argentina
you said,
too, in Brazil.
And in Germany, where I've lived, they also have a lot of nudity. It's usually at night, but it's a lot more than what would be shown in American television. So they really, I think they personally played a game and thought it would be cool to like up the ante, because they know these are $100 billion television contracts, right? This is a big, big deal. Everybody's watching. You don't have a wardrobe malfunction. That thing is tested so many times. So I have to think, as I'm sure others did, that it was somewhat purposeful. A couple of other facts people may not realize. The big game has never been canceled. Can you believe that? Wow. It was only halted for half an hour in 2013 because there was a blackout. That was it.
So it's
never
rain,
been canceled.
No sleet, no
snow, no dark of night.
No darkness of night that can ever stop the Super Bowl from shining bright.
Yes, that's it. Last season, Kansas City won in overtime. It was the first Super Bowl in which the league changed hands on the last play. So that is very interesting. And, I think I'm going to do this for people, Fletcher. Let's say there's some people out there, you didn't grow up with football. Maybe you're like Fletcher, you're from South America, or you're from a home with... an insulting thing. I'm going to explain the rules of football quickly. So I had this idea several years ago that I was going to learn football. My father watches football a lot, religiously almost, you might say. My mom, not as much. My brothers do. So I know a little bit, but I had said to myself, I'm going to get on YouTube and I'm going to learn football. So it's going to be oversimplified. So you real football people, don't come at me. Don't hate me. Okay. I'm doing the best I can. This is just for people who don't know, but want to be a little bit a part of it. Okay. So let me explain the rules of football quickly. There are 11 players on a side, but the key player is the quarterback. He takes the oblong ball at the start of each play. And say he, because this is a male sport. Okay. There's no transgender men in American football, professional football that we know of. Okay. So he takes the oblong ball at the start of each play, and he either hands it to a player who tries to run with it, or he throws it downfield for a receiver to catch. Okay. Teams have 4 tries. Okay. Or downs to advance the ball at least 10 yards. That's 9.1 meters. Okay. For those of you who grew up in other countries that don't say yards. Okay. So he has to advance the ball at least 10 yards, 9.1 meters. Okay. The other team will try to stop them from doing so, a process that often ends with one or more players grabbing the player with the ball and hurling him to the ground abruptly. This is what makes it fun. Those of you listening, we like the violence of this game. Sometimes a player will do something wrong. That's what you call a penalty. And the referee, that person is the one who makes decisions about the game, will signal this by throwing what looks like a yellow hanky. Okay. The announcers will say that a flag is on the field. Are you guys following me still? All right. The field is 100 yards long. Sometimes you hear people in America refer to something being the length of a football field or the length of 2 football fields. So you get a sense of what it looks like. Fletcher has very handily put up a nice little pictograph, which I really appreciate, to show what the football field looks like, the equipment that's on it, the lines on it, the numbers on it. And that's exactly what it looks like, just in miniature. So the field is 100 yards long, and a team making it to the end, the quote end zone, you might hear that phrase, gets 6 points, okay? A touchdown, very good. And 1 more if it can kick a ball through some big metal posts. You see them there. The goal posts, do you see that? Afterward, okay? This is very basic. This is all you need though. There are other ways to score, but I promise to keep it simple. So we're just going to keep it simple. Okay. So you got it. Now, for soccer fans out there, this is not like that. The game cannot end in a tie. That's one thing people don't like about your teams, your whole thing, which Fletcher loves soccer. He wants to call it football. We don't like it playing in a tie. In fact, Ann Coulter, who is, kind of a right-wing nut, if you're serious about it. I do respect her. I like her, but she is a nut. She hates soccer. She calls it a communist sport because of the tie. You can have it where nobody wins.
Yeah, but no, but you have to go to.
Oh, here we go. He's gonna
extra
defend it.
time.
Here we go.
And you don't play until you win. All right, I'm just saying. Yeah, you're besmirching the good game.
No, you guys have ties. You end with ties.
We do, but there's when it's like a championship game, there is no tie. It's always one winner.
Okay, I never heard that. I thought you guys have ties. Anyway, in American football, that does not end in a tie. The teams always play, quote, overtime. That's what you call it, until a winner is determined. You always do that. So that is the game. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, we talked about this before. Why is it called football? Because it doesn't use the foot that much. Okay. Some people have said it should be called hand egg because it does have. I don't know. Can you get a picture of a football for those who really don't know? I mean, we assume we have people from all over the world listening to us here at Indignant Desert Birds. So we don't want to take anything for granted, including thank you for you seasoned football fans for listening to that long introduction to what football is. I'm sure I'm missing a lot there. But those are some of the basics. There's a lot more to it, of course. If you're interested, there really are some good items on this platform, which is what I started watching to understand plays and different sports. There's also, I'm sure you all know, some wonderful football movies. Please, those who are listening, please tell us your favorite. There's a football, the hand egg. What your favorite football movies are. There are a lot of amazing movies about this sport. And honestly, I think one of my favorites is Invincible, which is about the Eagles. But Crimson Tide is one. What about you, Fletcher? You have any favorite football movies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Remember the Giants. I think it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, Remember the Giants. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you, Sir Curtis. He says it's a good job on describing American hand egg. Love it. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to do.
Pigskin.
Oblong pigskin jumping around. Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's some other ones though. I mean, there's so many good ones. It's hard to say. I mean, there's one I'm trying to remember now. I'm not sure why it's not coming to me. Remember the Giants. But there's one I can see the actors, but the name is not coming to me. That's also a really, really good one. But there's tons of them. So anyone who's interested in learning about the sport and understanding why people love it, I think watching some of these old movies, but I think Invincible is a wonderful one. Blindside is good too. Oh yeah, my favorite film about it is Blindside is very good. That's a very touching film too. I liked it also. That's a great film. But those who haven't seen Invincible, please watch that. It's also based on a true story like The Blind Side. Yeah. And it involves, a really wonderful, I don't want to give it away, but if you want more football after watching, the Super Bowl game today, that's a good one to go through. So American football honestly evolved. It was called kind of rugby football, or it was seen that way in the late 19th century. And then in 1906, teams began passing the ball forward instead of backward. Only that's what they used to do it. And then the NFL was founded in 1920s, and they started the Super Bowl championship game in 1967. Like we said, we're at 59 right now. And there was another kind of other game. It wasn't NFL, another institution is called American Football League, AFL. So right now we have the NFL only, but there was an AFL and they merged. But American football is really, really important. I don't know if it is as well watched as your soccer, which you call football. I don't know. Do you think probably more people watch soccer in the world than American football?
Yeah. I mean,
there's something also called Canadian football, which is not our football. Canadian. It's similar to the American game, but it's different.
But it's more polite.
It's more of a loser. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. This shows what I'm just mad at Trudeau. But I guess they use a little bit of French because they don't call it a point. They score a rouge. They call it a rouge.
Okay.
And I think Australia has a version also, and it's kind of crazy. First of all, they don't wear as much padding as our people do because they're brutes.
It's more like a rugby.
It's more like a rugby, yeah. And they pass the ball by hitting it with their fists, which is kind of strange.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing a lot of that.
Yeah, of course.
Back, type of thing. I mean, we also want to hit real quick
Yes.
that so it looks like a judge has blocks Elon Musk's Dodge
Can you
access to
believe
Treasury
this?
Department data.
Talking about football, it's like a block. Yeah.
Right, and it's like right away we get these blocks coming in, and it's just a little bit crazy because so I guess my understanding is that Judge Paul Egelmeyer uh, just forbade all political appointees, including Treasury Secretary Scott Basin, from accessing Department of Treasury data, all based on some blue anon, which is now what they're calling the left on this one, conspiracy theories about Elon, getting access to all this information. And my understanding is that he just wants to get information on to look for stuff that scams, right? So it looks like the theories can be challenged because the order was ex parte. So if you guys don't know what ex parte means, it means that it was done in secret. So it's only kind of like for the judge to see. So it's not made available to the public because there's some sensitive data that can't be revealed. So also Trump's side is not warned about this, and they couldn't say nothing about it.
Can you believe that? And that seems
That's
fair.
crazy.
How could that be fair? That just shows
Right,
you how
it's-
deep and dark,
And
how
what does
deep and
Doge want to
dark.
do but bring stuff to the light? And what do is do stuff in
That's
secret.
nonsense, you guys. Oh my gosh, we're seeing for real the so-called deep state here because, like Sir Curtis says, how in the world can they block the Treasury Secretary from accessing its own data, his own data? Think about that for a second. There is no law or logic to this because it definitely defies it. You got to be kidding me. Talk about political hackery. That's what this is. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to be kidding me. It's like, okay, we don't mind all the people who are stealing money from us and using our money, our taxpayer money for things like, transformation surgeries in Iraq. They have our data, but God forbid some other, person that Trump hired to kind of look out for things like that to stop it does it. Now it's a big problem. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, you guys, there's something called the Constitution here. And you know what? The Constitution, I mean, again, I've said this before, Fletcher, I'll say it again. Basic civics needs to be taught again in the school. I was very, very blessed as a kid in middle school.
You're breaking up a little bit. Check the connection, Ursula, of the
Oh,
mic.
okay. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just a little spotty. It's probably your interflex.
It may be my interflex or maybe my headphone because you were going out for me a little bit there. But
sorry, guys.
I guess I would just say basic civics would say there's an executive branch and there's a judicial branch. The executive branch includes the Treasury Department. That's his territory. It's not for the judge to overcome that and say what he can and cannot do. That's his executive branch.
No, it's just crazy. And we hope that this kind of gets settled sooner than later. And I'm sure knowing that Trump is in control, it's going to be a lot sooner. It's going to be a lot sooner. And we got Sir David Glenn. Sorry I'm late. No worries. We
welcome.
It's kind of like an improv too, shall we say?
Sir Glenn.
Yeah.
Hail, Sir Glenn.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining
Elon,
us.
I don't think it's legit, but I can at least see it. But the Treasury Secretary, question mark. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I would say, know what?
Yeah, there's so much
Elon, can you hear me? Elon
Yes.
is legit too in this sense. Here's what I would say. I think the president can appoint consultants, advisors to assist him in his job. He can't do every job. That's why he has a cabinet. That's why he has people put to different positions. And he chose Elon. People say things so dumb like Elon's not elected. Neither is Pam Bundy. Neither is Kash Patel. Neither is, Pete Hegseth. These people are not elected. They are appointed. Okay. And no, they may not go through that whole process, but neither does everybody. The president has certain, need for people to help him do his job. He can't be there doing everything, and he hasn't the expertise that someone like Elon Musk has. I don't know why people are freaking out about this, except Fletcher, what are they trying to hide?
Right, that's the thing. You don't want access to the data. What are you trying to hide?
What are you
Is there
trying to
something
hide?
within the data? You can always say you can't access this, right? You can always say,
Right.
okay, this part you can't touch. But what exactly are you trying to what exactly are you trying to hide? So it's
It's a
it's
cover up.
it's a
It's
cover
like
up in a
it's a
sense.
cover up
So
because suddenly you care about privacy data. They don't give a crap about that. What about
they don't. They've been
NSA?
stealing our data for
They've been stealing that crap, and by the way, using companies to try to do it. They've gone back ways. The executive branch. They have gone to places like Google, Facebook, and so forth to get our data and find out information on people. But now you suddenly care about this when we're trying to clean the swamp and figure out where the money is going. Our
yeah,
money.
it's
And
just
I
crazy.
don't know who it was the other day, Fletcher, who said something. Oh my gosh, I know who it was. It was Liawatha, Sitting Bull, Pocahontas, White Jeep Cherokee. Warren, said something like the little people, she didn't say little people. I think she said regular citizens don't need to know what we're doing with their money. Really? That's what
Yeah.
she said, apparently. We can try to
Well,
find
don't
it for our
forget
next show.
they don't care about eggs either, but it is their gang that's already doing shady stuff, because we know that Mr. Newscom, uh it's
We're calling
now,
him like how Trump calls him. We're doing that now, Fletcher.
well, yeah, it's it's a little bit questionable, but it seems like now you can't have. Before it was okay, we're going to rebuild, everything's going to be great. But now it seems like you can't even, put any plants up on your property. All kinds of changes are coming. And people have been saying, like, this is like, we told you so. We told you he wasn't going to allow it, this is ridiculous, because the Palisade and all that area, from my understanding, there's a lot of historical homes. There used to be a lot of, including like black areas of the neighborhood, that uh, are gonna obviously change under this regime of Newsom. So I don't know how it's gonna work out, but he was recently caught on this, and he said, let's see, he's been talking about this.
Previously mentioned the timeline for rebuilding would be 6 to 9 months. Is that going to happen? And should people rebuild in some parts of California, given how high the fire risk
Yeah,
is?
you can't rebuild.
This is people's land; they paid for it, right?
Can you believe that?
So now it's like, oh, should you rebuild? Should you encroach on a rich land, right? Should you be able to do that?
The same. So we have to rebuild with science. We have to build with climate reality in mind.
What the heck science are you using, one, and what the heck is a climate reality? Is
That's
that
what
an
I want to
alternate?
know.
Is that the multiverse?
That's an
the
alternate reality.
California multiverse.
And we have to look at infrastructure, redundancy systems, ingress, egress as it relates to emergency management and planning, materials.
So he learned a lot of fancy words.
I bet you he couldn't define.
Yeah, that's
all of that is being reviewed and reconsidered, and with the latest iterations in terms of understanding and technology. And I say technology in the context
he always has to do
of
these
how,
things with his
again, we
hands.
build the
Ridiculous.
infrastructure to keep it
That's
safe.
how you know
to
he's
address
lying.
Undergrounding of lines, how we address the larger issues of redundancy in terms of systems. But more important than anything else is the need to get the debris removed. 30 days to do the hazardous waste. We want to get 6 to 9 months, the rest of the debris done. Concurrently, people are getting permits.
So in other words, whatever happened to fast track everything? So now it's 30 days, you get removed. How about if you do it in 2 days, right? And now he's like, well, 90 days to get the stuff done. And you're like, what exactly is he trying to, because all this time, I wonder if there's a seize on property taxes, right? Because my understanding is the people in that area had fixed taxes on their property. That's what they were able to afford. It wasn't just millionaires, because they were able to afford the property taxes because it was a fixed tax, like for their family that lived there, right?
Right.
That went along for generations. Now they're trying to open that up, maybe saying, oh, okay, well, maybe you know that fixed rate tax that you got, sure be a shame if you lost it.
You know what? You can't trust these people. I mean, these kinds of politicians are just so vile. I mean, he doesn't obviously care about these people at all. He obviously cares about some other agenda that he's not exposing right now. Who owns this guy? Who's telling him how to do this? He's not asking the people what they want. He's not considering what works in their favor. This is obviously something else going on. Does he want to make a 15-minute city? Does he want to give special contracts to his, cronies? But this is not about the people. And you're telling me you can't have plants because that's what caused the fire. Give me a break.
Yeah, that's, don't. It's trying to help us out,
This is all happening, rolling together, and we want to see construction very shortly. And in the next few years, we want to see hundreds, thousands of homes rebuilt.
But I think there's a big question.
Thousands of homes. Were there thousands lost? That's where the key is, because they're saying there wasn't thousands lost in that area. So you're saying that, my understanding, are they gonna, like you said, we're reading into it saying, are you trying to create this little, what do they call it, like 15-minute cities?
Right.
Question about how do some Californians do that, right? You have State Farm announcing that it has an average 22% interim rate hike for homeowners. The fair insurance plan for the state is just bogged down right now. Your dad, I believe, is on that plan, if I recall. Californians are saying they're not getting the help they need from FAIR. It's really confusing.
Well, FAIR's not a state plan. It's not a taxpayer-funded plan. It's a syndicate pool run by the insurance market itself. And it's the insurer of last resort. And it's existed back to Ronald Reagan in 1968.
It's like it's last resort. And why would you have insurance of last resort? Because you decided that you're going to do something creative and,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, Sir Glenn says, Karen Bass says she wanted a utopian 15-minute city. Yeah.
But see, thank you, Sir Glenn, for that. Because guess what? When you say something like that to me, by the way, for those who don't know, that's supposedly a city that the so-called, weather-focused people and the crazy left and the deep state, they want, just like they want you to live in the pods and eat the bugs, that you would not have a car and you would stay within 15 minutes of everything you would need in your life. So those who never heard that expression, 15-minute city, that's what it means. It means that you could, within 15 minutes, get everywhere. You wouldn't have to go outside of the little area that they put you in. So your school, your job, your grocery store, what have you, if you're allowed to have grocery stores, you would all be accessible walking and or biking within 15 minutes. It's communist. I mean, I'm all for walking. I love a walkable city. I have been to many, but the idea that you're going to force people to live in these little super cubicle pods is a problem.
No, it's true. So this is from the San Francisco Chronicle. They reported that Gavin Newsom is ordering the state to speed up its rulemaking with wildfire safety around homes in fire-prone areas that would ban most plant and combustible materials like mulch or wood fencing. So it's like, the list is checking on, what can you have around your home? I mean, are they going to dictate what ornaments you could wear?
Well, I mean, Fletcher, you can see right here, it says the rules could be costly for homeowners who would have to tear up vegetation around their homes.
What?
Do you really think that other cities that have vegetation around their homes are having fires? This is not about that. It's about what Trump said already about fire prevention and having water so you can deal with it. It's about stopping the arsonists. It's about a bunch of other things. Yeah, like Sir Glenn says, it's one big HOA.
No, it is. That's what they're trying to create. They're trying to create it's the government HOA. It's the government HOA.
If they start talking 15-minute cities, like Sir Glenn said, Karen Bass said, aren't they kind of making you feel like they planned this whole thing? Doesn't it sound like that? Not to put my tinfoil hat on.
We're not saying like it does seem a lot like there was a lot of plans for a lot of rich people moving into Hawaii and Maui, and then all of a sudden there was a fire. So what exactly did we know what started yet? I mean, that they said it's just nature, right? Because it always happens, but it targeted a certain area.
It's so convenient. It's so
It's so
convenient.
convenient.
Let's
Right.
say in Maui, the rich people were trying to get these Hawaiians to sell their homes, some of which have been in their homestead in their families for generations. That have, Hawaiians have a very interesting culture, very unique. They often are Christian, but they also have very ancient Hawaiian traditions. They feel very close to the land, which is sacred to them. So many of them didn't want to sell. Suddenly there's a fire. Now they have
Right.
no choice. And guess how it's being rebuilt? Not for them to come back.
Nope.
And now you have in this beautiful area of California, suddenly there's a bad fire. And now we're going to create a whole new thing. We're not going to just rebuild. We can't rebuild the same, says Newsom. We got to
Right.
rebuild differently the way we always wanted to, but couldn't get you to get on board with.
Right. Because
So
you had
convenient.
property rights.
So convenient. Very convenient.
It's
And now
so
we can put
convenient.
all these regulations so you can't do what you were already doing before. Because now they have an
Yeah.
excuse because, obviously it has to be rebuilt. So we can just make it hard for you to do it back the way it was and do what we always wanted to do in the first place. Not saying it happened, but man, it's convenient, huh?
Yeah, it's very convenient and it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. But California is going through a lot of scrutiny from President Trump. So I don't know how is it going to work out for them. Because one of the new things that he's looking at is, we've heard about this high-speed rail that they've been saying it's going to get built. So according to Gateway Pundit, says that Trump's launched an investigation into California's $130 million high-speed rail disaster project. Because my understanding is they spent many millions on this already, and have nothing to show for it. So should we trust Mr. Newsom on his handling of how he's going to handle the fires?
Let me say how I'm going to answer that question. No.
So it does look like he announced Tuesday he would launch a comprehensive investigation in California, but league high-speed rail project, hinting at many consumers have known all along this boondoggle is nothing but a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Trump said on office on Tuesday, one of the things I want to investigate rapidly because I've never seen anything in this extent is a train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco. So this is what he was talking about.
One of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this extent, the train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco is the worst managed project I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the worst. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over budget. In fact, I read where you could take every single person that was going to go on the train and get the finest limousine service in the world and take them back and forth with limousines, and you'd have hundreds of billions of dollars left over. It is the worst thing, and we're going to start an investigation of that because it's not possible. I built for a living, and I built on time, on budget. It's impossible that something could cost that much. And now it's not even going to San Francisco, and it's not going to Los Angeles. They made it much shorter. So now it's at little places way away from San Francisco and way away from Los Angeles. No, we're going to start a big investigation on that because I've never seen anything like it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. The worst overruns that there have ever been in the history of our country.
I mean, how crazy is that?
It is crazy. And now you want to trust these same people to so-called supervise your building back anything? You can't trust a Democrat with money. I mean, you can say that out front, you all. You can't trust a Democrat with money. And I'm not trying to offend Democrats. I hope some of you are our listeners and our fans. We have Democrats in our family. You guys know I'm a registered independent, proudly. I was a Democrat. I'm not because of things like this. They steal from the people. They are not accountable. And you saw how they acted during the confirmation for, Kennedy for health czar. The way Pocahontas went on, the way Sanders went on, they were not looking out for your interests. They are not looking out for us. So I don't trust them. I don't trust Republicans either. Fletcher knows that. He's one. I trust you, Fletcher, but I don't trust Republicans, generally speaking. That's why I had to go in the middle. But I think Democrats are the worst when it comes to profligate spending. As you can see, it's showing up through the Doge, which is why they're trying to put a kibosh on it. Note that judge that we talked about earlier is an Obama appointee, Clinton or Obama, I think it was.
And we'll get to, because we have some more news about that, and we're going to get to that later on. Because we have
the pregame show. We have
this
a postgame show.
We got a postgame show.
Come back to see us, everybody. What time we're coming back, Fletcher? Did we say? Whenever the game's over.
Yeah, so
you
I
know
guess
what?
we're gonna do.
Let's come back after the game is over.
All right, so
we'll leave it kind of open.
Out after the game. We're gonna commiserate.
We'll come back on live after the big game.
All right. So thank everybody for
join us.
joining
Come fly with us. Come back and fly with us.
All right. Have a good one.
Go eat.
Ave Maria, Maria, rogai por nós, Santa Mãe de